Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Bob McKillop Show, brought to you by OrthoCarolina. I'm John Kilgo. It's great to have you in the audience. We're going to talk a lot of Davidson College basketball, coaching basketball in general, because I know Coach has a big interest in that too. Getting started, Coach, we're going to get started in an area that you had a learning experience, playing at home against Fordham. Pretty good lesson in what it is to play in a good conference, because every game is a tough game. That game kind of got away from you.
It certainly did, John. They knocked us on our heels right from the start, broke our rhythm with their aggressive defense. And it's interesting how that carried over into the defensive end. And what they did very well was they made shots in the last 10 seconds of the shot clock on several occasions. And when that happens, it puts you on your heels even more. So I thought we were playing from behind with a little bit of a hesitancy, a little bit tentative, and we could never recover fully from that.
It was a team that uses an unorthodox style of defense, aren't they?
They certainly do. There was a lot of denial on Jack, a lot of denial on Peyton, and sporadic denial on our other players, basically inviting our other players to make plays. But it created chaos for our offensive flow. I'm a great believer that offense is all about rhythm and flow. And when that is interrupted, whether it's a change in defense or a particular type of defense, I think the defense has the advantage.
Coach, that puts you in a little bit of a hole in the conference. And then you have a team coming in here, next game, Virginia Commonwealth, 14-3, undefeated in the conference. You're playing a little bit shorthanded because of injuries. Your backs were to the wall. You responded pretty doggone good.
This team, last year's team, the year before, has really put their signature on playing when their backs are against the wall. You reflect back 2 years ago when our backs were against the wall from the start, joining the A-10. Last year, several occasions, Jack Gibbs did not play, and backs against the wall, and we win games. Well, our first experience like that this year was in St. Louis. We're 0-2 in conference play, had not won in the new year, and you're going on the road to a place where you lost last year. And we responded very well. We had a terrific first half against St. Louis, and struggled a little bit in the second half, but managed to keep the double-digit lead throughout the game. And Virginia Commonwealth presented that second opportunity to play with our backs against the wall. And if there were ever going to be a dangerous experience, it was that one, because they're undefeated in conference play, very mature, very experienced, well coached, and an NCAA tournament team, and had beaten us soundly here last year, had beaten us soundly in the conference tournament. So a wonderful response by our guys to having their backs against the wall.
A couple of keys, Coach, in that game, if you will, to get the win over Virginia Commonwealth.
There were so many of them, and I think probably the validation of our concepts, our principles, our beliefs was so evident in the way that Andrew McKillop played. Andrew McKillop came off the bench, was ready, was prepared. And it's interesting how players give you signals, give you messages. The message, the signal from Andrew McKillop all year long has been, whatever role you want, whenever I'm asked to play, I'll be ready. And it became very evident in the film session and the walkthrough on Saturday morning. Andrew, who was not anticipating playing a lot of minutes, was right on top with his answers to Matt McKillop's questions. As we walked through there out of bounds, he was perfectly synchronized with what we're trying to do. So he gave me tremendous confidence. And we put him in the game, and that confidence just grew and grew and grew.
A great win for Davidson over Virginia Commonwealth. And one of the key players, as always, for Davidson under Coach McKillop, Peyton Aldridge. We have a special interview with Peyton. We're going to come back and take a look at that after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. As I was saying, going into the break, one of the guys that Coach McKillop depends on for all kind of things. Peyton Aldridge, coach, what a player you have from that young man from Ohio. I remember when you were recruiting him, and I know why you were after him so hard.
You know, I recall specifically the day I saw him. It was an AAU event in Pittsburgh. And I'm sitting at one end watching a young man by the name of Singer, who is the starting point guard of California. And Sam, we wanted so badly, and it came down to us in California. And at the other end of the court, 3 courts away, Landry Kosmowski, our assistant at the time, was watching Peyton Aldridge. And I'm glancing over, looking a little bit, and I thought I saw Landry Kosmowski playing. Peyton had created such a memory of Landry's playing days because he ran the court like him, he had the same body frame and did the same things. And let me tell you, he's much better than Landry. And Landry was very good, but Peyton does everything at every position, offensively and defensively. I could not be more pleased, and he handles it like a class act, a champion, a poised gentleman.
No question. Co-player of the week in the A10, 21 points a game, 7.4 rebounds, shoots 52% from the field, 41% from 3, and a great free throw shooter. Jared Latch of our radio network had this opportunity to sit down and talk to Peyton Aldridge.
Happy to be joined right now by junior captain Peyton Aldridge, this week's player feature here on the Bob McKillop Show. And Peyton, at a most basic level, what does it mean to you to be a captain?
I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be a captain with this team, with Rusty, Jack, and Will, just to be the leaders of the team and to know that Coach has the trust in us to be the leaders on the court and off the court. It's just a humbling opportunity.
You know, being a part of this Davidson program, there's so many special aspects to it. Can you explain to somebody what it's like, the Davidson College basketball experience as a player?
It's beyond a team. It's really a brotherhood. We love spending time with each other on the court, off the court, and I think that's really what makes us special, is that people come and visit the school and they see how well we get along, how much we hang out, and they realize that it is special, and that's how it was for me when I came. I just realized the opportunity that I had and the friendships that I've gotten and that I'll continue to get throughout my college has been amazing.
Now we have a really good, even bigger than a sample size now in your junior year of Peyton Aldridge on the court. Who is Peyton Aldridge off the court?
I like to lay low. I just try to get my work done, just hang out with the guys, and just go to the gym. Just try to keep it simple, you know. Here for books and ball, so that's what I try to keep it to.
Now, coming from Ohio, this is probably the most important question I'll ask you. Who is the bigger Ohio State fan? Is it Gibby or is it you?
I know Jack's grandfather played at Ohio State, but ever since I can remember, I remember watching the football games every Saturday with my dad. So I gotta say me. I mean, I know he'd probably say himself, but I don't know if you can get much bigger than what I am.
Now, I've had conversations with your parents over the last couple months. I understand they both come from coaching backgrounds, so that could be a little bit interesting in terms of feedback. What is that like in the home, or maybe coming out of a game with your parents?
Well, I've been in the gym ever since I was little with them both being coaches, so that was just a great experience with that. But in high school and middle school, it was always, I got critiqued a lot after games. But ever since I got to college, they've really eased up, and they just continue to tell me that they're proud of me and that they love me. And they might still throw in a little bit here and there, but they've been good.
Now let's go team-specific question here, more basketball related. What does this current team need to do to be playing its best in March?
We just need to continue to get better every single day. I believe we're on the right track with that too. We just got to continue to work hard, and it's just little things here and there, and we'll figure that stuff out, and we'll just keep getting better.
Well, Peyton, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That does it for this week's Players segment. We'll return in just a moment with more on the Bob McKillop Show.
So a special player, Peyton Aldridge, and Coach, you know the opposing coaches have a nightmare trying to match up with him.
Sometimes I go home at night and I say, I wish he was only a sophomore. But I'm going to relish every game, every moment, every experience and opportunity to coach him for the next year and a half.
No question about it. And when we come back, Coach McKillop is going to talk and answer some questions from our fans and our viewers, and we'll do that right after this. Welcome back, everybody. So thankful to have you in the audience today with Coach Bob McKillop of Davidson. We're going to invite fans to ask some questions, some things that interest you. We'll tell you how to do that in just a minute or two. But Coach, this comes from a young man by the name of Mark in Raleigh, who asked the question, how much does the practice plan evolve throughout the course of the year based on schedule and opponents?
The practice plan is something that is developed day by day, and we as a coaching staff spend 2.5 hours developing it, and another 30 minutes or so fine-tuning it and analyzing it. What we often do is we reference previous practice plans from the opponent that we've played, so what has worked in the past, post-game reports, consolidate all that, then put it together in a framework based upon the health of our team, the number of days of preparation we have, anything that we're doing well, anything that we're doing poorly. There's a tremendous focus upon our own program, our own players. And we sprinkle in the exact replication of opponents' offense, opponents' defense, and of course opponents' out of bounds plays as well. So it's a daily labor, but one that is exciting to see it unfold.
You know, John Wooden, the great John Wooden, had a couple of guys that could protect the basket, and Lou Alcindor at the time, and Bill Walton, those people. But he used to say, and I know you have to have tremendous talent to do this, that he worried just about what his team did, not what the opponent did. How do you fit into that equation?
Well, you know, I grew up in a time period when John Wooden was the greatest coach in college basketball history, and saw his teams play frequently and read every book about him. So I've stolen much of my own philosophy from people like John Wooden, and I'm of the same belief. I think we have to get better at what we do, more so than prepare what the opponent does. And I think we spend an extraordinary amount of time trying to improve our own particular program and game plan, fine-tuning it based upon what the reads will be, what the defense will be, what they'll give up, what the strengths will be. But really, it's a lesson in making our program better, our players better.
Coach, this question comes from Boston, Mass, from Jeff. How has the program adjusted to the travel changes that you face in the A-10 compared to the SoCon?
You know, that's a great question, because it was one thing to think about it. It was one thing to analyze it and see the impact in terms of where we were traveling, how we were traveling. But to actually go through that in that first year and last year and see the physical and emotional drain that can create. So it's another step forward for our program to be able to have the challenge of travel to St. Louis, travel to Massachusetts, travel to Rhode Island, travel to Dayton, travel to Philadelphia, to Washington, wherever it might be. But it involves a lot greater expenditure of energy than a 2.5, 3 hour bus ride.
Coach McKillop, Wildcats in the A-10 now, third year of what a conference it is. And each week we want the fans to participate. The Davidson basketball Twitter account will request submissions for the social segment using the hashtag #AskMcKillop, from a man who knows nothing about hashtags or Ask McKillop. We're going to come back though and talk about what might be Bob McKillop's favorite topic in the world. We'll do it right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bob McKillop Show. Nice to have you in the audience. We have a special ceremony, Coach. You know all about it. January 24th at Davidson, the Wildcats will play Duquesne. It'll be an A-10 game, a very good A-10 matchup. And then John Belk Arena that evening, the student section, where, got all kind of different section numbers. It's going to have one after this game, section number 30, named in honor of Stephen Curry.
I think there is such excitement for this evening because of what Stephen means to our program, what Stephen has done for our program, and the marriage that exists between Steph Curry and Davidson basketball and Davidson College. And this is a signature evening for that to be demonstrated.
This is a unique situation, Coach. How did it evolve into coming into being?
There are so many things that daily come across our desks about how Steph is just a consummate representative ambassador of Davidson College. And it got to a point where we just had to acknowledge it as publicly as we could, as gracefully as we could, and involve the college. And the college has been very, very sensitive to wanting to do things for Steph rather than have Steph do things for us. And this was one of those opportunities where we can show to Steph we really are so appreciative of all that you have done for the college.
You know, Steph's first game was up in Ann Arbor against Eastern Michigan. He was throwing the ball around like a hand grenade with the pin out of it. He did, you know, all over the place. You had to be tempted to take him out of the game, but you stuck with him and kept him in. And I wonder how important that was, in your opinion, to Steph's overall development as a Davidson player.
He has told me in the aftermath of that game, in which he had a double-double, I think it was 15 points and maybe 12 turnovers, some interesting stat line. He has told me that that was one of the moments of his career here at Davidson that built his confidence. Confidence in the program, confidence in the coaching staff, confidence in the system, confidence in himself. And of course, he went on to win that game, but the next night he had 32 against the University of Michigan, and it was full speed ahead from that moment on. And a great lesson for young coaches, a great lesson for parents. If someone has earned confidence, stick with it. Don't pull the plug. And that's such a difficult thing in our world today where, you know, you have teams have great years and, you know, like the Dallas Cowboys, they lose yesterday, and a great year with a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back, and people are questioning, was their year a failure?
Yeah.
It's a pretty darn good year. Pretty darn good year. And it's remarkable how the 24-hour news cycle can turn something that's positive into a negative.
You know, those of you who don't know, and I know most of you do, Steph was not a highly recruited basketball player. You saw something other coaches didn't see. What was it?
I use this analogy all the time. There's an emergency exit door, and it's a glass door, and there's a red sign on the door, just like we have here in Belk Arena, and you see that red sign, and it says emergency exit, alarm will go off. Most people come to that door and don't see that sign. They look through the glass door and see what's beyond the glass door. Steph was remarkable that he could see beyond the glass door, but could see in front of him at the same time. He had that remarkable ability to be one step ahead, always alert and ready, anticipating what's out there in the future, but not leaving where he was in the present. And that's a pretty special gift.
No questions. Pretty special guy, too. Coach McKillop will come back and we'll look ahead to what lies right in the future for Davidson basketball. We'll do it right after this. Coming up next for the Wildcats, January 19th on the road, Philadelphia, LaSalle, an A-10 game, Coach. It's always an experience on the road in this league.
LaSalle's playing very well right now. They are 4-1 in conference play, I think 10-5 overall. They welcome back 4 starters from last year, and they've added 3 transfers who are all starting. So in a sense, they have 7 starters of experienced, talented players.
You have said from day one this season, you know what you have in Gibbs, you know what you have in Aldridge. You want third player, somebody to step up and be that third scoring threat. Are you getting closer there?
I think there's some inconsistency, and we saw some bright lights for Will McGarity, and he has that capacity to be that. John Axel has had moments as well. We think those are the 2 guys that could play that third scoring position for us. But our offense is an equal opportunity offense. It's one in which anybody can get an opportunity to score based upon the read, based upon the movement of the ball. And with Peyton Aldridge and Jack Gibbs very capable of passing the ball as well as they do and drawing attention to themselves the way they do because they're such prolific scorers, it opens up opportunities for different guys on our roster to score. And Jordan Watkins just has one of those games this year. I'm still convinced Oscar Mickelson and Keyshawn Pritchett and Dusan Kovacevic can be those kind of guys as well. So having confidence to play that role and then consistently do it is what has been an objective of our coaching staff and our players for the last month and a half.
Well, Coach, there's a lot of basketball left. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll talk some more next time.
Thank you, John, and thank you, fans.
Thank you very much for watching.